Hi Scorpio, welcome to your 2026 Astro-Tarot reading with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. Quick note, these are for your sun, moon, and ascendant sign. Check them out for all three so that you know which part of you, or not even which part of you this resonates. Really and truthfully, whenever we're talking about astrology, astrology tends to favor your ascendant sign, whereas tarot tends to favor your sun sign. To get a clearer, more complete picture of how this year is unfolding for you, make sure you check out all three. Now, as if all of that wasn't enough, we're going to be delving into your year ahead. Whenever I'm talking astrology, I'm talking about the whole sign tropical Western astrology system. We are going to start this video with your life sector overview. And here I'm going to be delving into all of the different areas of your life. We're going to be looking at your actions. We're going to be looking at your career. We're going to be delving into your love life, your spirituality, your finances, and of course, your well, I say all important, but they are pretty important, right? You need to know what the warnings are for this year. When we get to your lunation section, we're going to be looking at your new moon, your full moon, and then we're going to explore how the eclipses are likely to unfold specifically for your sign. And then, as if all of that wasn't enough, we're getting into your 12-month tarot reading where we're going to go January through December to explore how this year is unfolding for you. Now, if you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. And if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and this resonates, hit that subscribe button. With that said, if you want to book a personal session with me, you can do so on the links in the description box below. And finally, I want to tell you about my 2026 compass. This is what I'm calling intuitive strategy for a new era. 2026 is a universal 1 year in numerology, which means whatever is unfolding, whatever you're setting into motion, it's going to permeate the next 9-10 years of our lives. We're programming the energy this year. So if you want to create lasting change and real momentum, and more importantly, align yourself for the right way, then the 2026 compass is absolutely for you. There's a link in the description box below. And for you, Scorpio, we are about to get into it. So let's see what 2026 has in store. Hi Scorpio, welcome to your 2026 life sector overview. So here we are going to be looking at the macrocosm of your life in all of these different areas. We're going to pull a major arcana card so that we can get into what each one of these life sectors has to bring for you over the course of this monumental year that is going to be 2026. With that said, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to pop these, I'm going to take these and give them a shuffle. Let's see what 2026 has in store for you, my dear Scorpios, or my Stinger crew, as we call you. All right, so for your, okay. The cards hath spoken. For your actions and options, you've got the Chariot card. So this year is likely to be, the year itself is going to be quite dynamic. It's going to have a lot of twists and turns anyway. It's a universal 1 year. So, and I've been banging on about this now for a while, just because it is going to be such a powerful and pivotal year. The fact that you've got the Chariot card means that you are poised for victory and success this year, but it's going to be a year that really has an element or an energy of the fast and the furious. You might feel this year like you are, maybe a bit more Martian than usual, where you're just really absolutely going in for it. It's interesting as well, because we start the year with Mars in Capricorn. Mars is your ancient ruler and is in the sign of its exaltation as we come into the year. Now, the fact that you've got the Chariot card as your actions, this is going to be a year where you are addressing your own shortcomings. And that's not to say, we all have them, right? But I actually think this is you addressing your own shortcomings as to where it is that maybe you get in your own way and overcoming some of the challenges that might present for you. In terms of the options that are available to you this year, there are options, or should I say there are opportunities for you to get ahead. The options that are available for you are for you to really understand how it is that you get into and over the challenges that present present to you. Now, in terms of opportunities that are actually coming in, there are chances for you to test your skills this year, chances for you to test, like, it's like anything, right? Until something has been battle tested, you never really know whether it will stand up to whatever it was created for. And so this year, there are likely to be opportunities for you to really test your knowledge, your information, your intelligence, your smarts, your grit, your determination, all of the things. For your career this year, you have the Hanged Man. So it's not to say that the career takes a back seat this year, but it really is more about ease. It really is more about, what you feel in terms of the career rather than sort of forging ahead. And this makes me wonder if there are different, there's probably some other area of life here that is going to take precedence this year. It's not to say that all Scorpios are suddenly going to have terrible careers. It just means that this year there's not really a great focus on this. There is a focus on other things. There is a focus or a moving towards other things, but these are likely to be more internal. The Hanged Man is a very internal energy. It's the energy of surrender. And so something about your career this year, you might say to yourself, actually, I'm going to give this up, or it doesn't feel worth it anymore. There's something that potentially you're phasing out or releasing, or just choosing to say, this no longer really works for me, or it doesn't excite me. It no longer feels like something that I'm passionate about. For those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, it does kind of say to me that this year there might be more of a focus on the spiritual elements of your studies, like whether this is, if you're studying art, maybe you're looking at the power of the imagination. If you're studying law, maybe you're looking at, the essence of human nature. There's something where you're examining more of the inner workings of what you're studying, as opposed to, like, you're really taking it apart to understand the spiritual element. It means as well, for a lot of you, maybe you look at this and you say, you know what, I took this course for ... but I realized very quickly this year, I'm not studying this for me. I didn't take this course because it was what I wanted to do. You might see here, where you've maybe sacrificed what you wanted for what somebody else told you should have or go for. For those of you that are employed by somebody else, you may find this year that you are not overlooked, but you might find that the opportunities that are presented or around you are just not ones that really feel right for you. And so what I want to say to you as well, especially with this Chariot card here in the actions and options, there are chances for you to get ahead this year, but not every chance is the one to do that, right? So this year, I think, is more about spiritual discernment when it comes to the career. So you can kind of say, okay, yes, there are opportunities here, but not every single opportunity is for me, and not every single opportunity is for now either. There's something here where this year, when it comes to the career, all of you in some way, shape or form are saying, not all of this is for me, and that is okay. For those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, this again, right? I wouldn't, like, if you have a team, it wouldn't be a surprise if you're letting one or two of them go. If you are a one-man band, it could be that you're taking a service off of the menu that you offer. It could be as well for some of you that you decide, like, actually, I'm going to start building my exit strategy because there's something else that I want to do, or that feels a lot more aligned for where it is that I would like to go. I like this for you, actually. I really like this for you. Now, as a business owner, because it's almost like you're putting yourself more front and center as opposed to just working. For those of you that are retired and no longer working, this year will be the year that you really dedicate more time, effort, and energy to your spiritual path. That will become your vocation. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up in spirituality. For your love and relations, so you've got the Death card, right? So this is your card. So you show up in your relationships. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, I mean, first things first, this is a lot of water, right? Straight away, look at that. We've got the Chariot, that's Cancer. The Hanged Man, that's Neptune. We've got Death card, that's Scorpio. It's all water so far, right? So there's going to be likely to be a lot of emotional energy that flows through this year for you, and so be prepared for that. Now, in your love life, partnered, married, long-term commitment, Does it mean that you're suddenly all, your relationship is ending? No, right? But if your relationship has been on the rocks and it has been having a lot of challenges and it has been sort of teetering on the edge of no longer being viable or tenable, it is possible then that this year you could be saying goodbye to your significant other. Maybe the relationship comes to an end, right? That being said, on the other side of it, remember this is a card of transformation. And so maybe your relationship is resurrected in some way, shape or form. So, that's one way that you could see it. I will also say the death card is usually a chance to get rid of or eliminate something. So if there's a problem or a challenge or an issue that has been a problem in or with or around or, for the relationship, this is your chance. This year you have a chance to say, right, we're no longer going to do this thing, hang around with these people, whatever it might be. And this creates the space that you need in order to really move forward in some way. For those of you that are single, I'm going to be honest, I don't think the focus is on the love life this year. I would also say when it comes to the death card as well, because remember this is transformation, what you have wanted or needed in terms of a relationship previously is likely to show up as being very different this year. So don't be surprised if you suddenly find yourself saying like, oh, actually, yeah, the people that I've been going for up until now, they're really not my type. Like that's why it's never worked out with one of these people, because actually that's not what I value at all. It's not what I want. It's not what I need. For your spirituality, you have the Emperor card. This is where you will start to really work on your spiritual power and your spiritual authority. This I find very interesting, especially because you've got the Emperor card here, and this idea that, especially with the Hanged Man, this idea that you are finding a way to commit to a spiritual path that feels like it's more aligned. I think this is about you being a more active participant in your spirituality versus a sort of, because the thing about Scorpio energy I find with you guys is like, because you can pull it out of the bag, not a lot of you really dedicate yourself to it. That's not to say that there aren't many Scorpio people that do or have, but I've noticed that as a pattern, right? You guys are kind of like, I can pull it out the bag when I need to. I know it's always there. So you don't really dedicate yourself as such. Well, this year you might start to really build a spiritual practice for yourself. You might really start to do some of that very deep inner work that needs to be done. And because you're doing it, you start to really come into, or you start to become able to really utilize that power. I like that for you. For your finances, you have the High Priestess. So more water, right? So when it comes to your money, your finances, or your resources, there are likely to be things that come to light this year, potentially some things that have been hidden around money or finances, especially and potentially where the career is related to. I would also say as well, for those of you that are tied to, let's say, a church or some kind of spiritual organization, there might be something coming up around money with them this year that kind of knocks or dents your faith in that institution, to say like, I remember years ago when I found out how many people tithed to the local church, and the pastor, I forgot what his name was, it was just like he drove this big fancy car and went on all these holidays and stuff, and I was like, right, so how is he paying for that being a pastor? And then I found out that like there was something ridiculous, like 100 people at the church that were tithing the church. This is so they're giving like 10% of their wage to the church. There's a lot of money after a while, right? Especially given, anyway. I digress. This is not about that. This is about you. Just be mindful of any and all religious or spiritual organizations that you tie yourself to, because there may be things around the money or the resources in those places that comes to light. For you personally, the High Priestess is basically saying your intuition this year can lead you to some very lucrative spaces and deals. And I would say that whatever you're doing to make money or to build money, you're actually doing this behind the scenes. Whatever it is that you're doing overtly, like, yes, that's, it's doing what it do, but this is about you making money on some project behind the scenes that not everybody is privy to. So that could be really nice as well. And then finally, your warnings, you have the Empress card. It's an interesting one to have as a warning, right? The first thing that I want to say to you is be careful with greed this year. Watch out for greed and or temptation when it comes to take things too far on the material level. Watch out for money, finances and resources as they are tied to other people or organizations, which I've already mentioned. And also another way that you could say with this as well, be careful with vanity this year, right? And it's not to say that you're all, suddenly going to be, oh so vain, etc. It's just that something that maybe you kind of convince yourself like, oh, well, that could never happen, right? That could never happen to me, right? So you just want to be a little bit extra careful this year with vanity, because wherever it is that you tell yourself that something could never happen to you, you will never be the one, whatever the case might be, that may not be the case this year, all right? So I just want you to be a little bit extra conscious that that is a possibility in the background. With that said, let me tell you about the 2026 compass. So what is it, right? I hear you saying, what is it? Everybody's been hearing about it. You've been seeing it on my socials. What is it? Well, in a nutshell, this is, and I knew that this year I would have to do everything differently. 2026 is a universal 1 year, which means that everything that we do has to be different to how we've done it before. That's how we make it. I've been talking about this for a fair amount of time now. Because it's a universal 1 year, this is going to be a monumental year of change that we look back on and say, that was the year that changed everything, right? I've been saying this for a while now, so now you understand why. That being said, the compass is a 12-month tarot reading for you, specifically for you, right? Not a general one like these. This is directly for you. On top of that, you are also going to get a PDF printable booklet. It's basically like a calendar for the year. The insights that are already written in there before you get it are written by me based on your numbers, based on your chart for the year ahead. So, and I don't outsource my astrology, I don't outsource my numerology. Whatever you have in that booklet will be literally written for you by me. Now, as well as all of that, while you're signing up, you get to pick your own time and space. In December, you will have a 3-hour one-to-one with me where, based on your reading, your chart and your numerology, we are going to plan your year so that you can meet your goal for 2026, right? This is about as much as I could fit into this thing, and because there's only one of me, I only have 30 spaces. I wanted to make sure I was really being of service this year, which is why I made these completely free and put them out onto YouTube, and I'm dedicating myself to these 30 people so that I can give you the best things that I can give you for what is going to be a very important year over the course of the next decade. That being said, there is a payment plan, so you pay in 2 installments. You pay your first installment on sign up. The second installment will be in November. By the time you get to December, you're already paid up. By the time you get to January, you are ready to step into what is going to be a very big year ready. Now, if you're watching this and you're thinking, it sounds amazing, Raf, I'm not in the space for that. I really just, I'm still reeling from the last 9-10 year cycle that we've had. No problem. I've got what is called the Navigator, which is effectively like a cookie clearer. It's an energy work video that's going to get you prepared, primed and ready to really step into 2026 without having to deal with the stuff that's likely to get in your way over the course of that year. And you also get a booklet as part of that so that you can plan your year based on these YouTube readings as well. All right. With that said, there's links in the description box for all of that. Stay tuned while we get to the next part of your reading. Hi Scorpio, welcome to your 2026 lunation section. So here we are going to be looking at your new moon for the year, your full moon for the year, and obviously the eclipses and how those are likely to be affecting you over the course of the year. So with that said, stay tuned while we get stuck into it. So I am going to hit share so that you can see your fancy new booklet. All right, so you should be seeing that on the screen. Scorpio moons for 2026. So we're going to start with your new moon this year. Obviously, I don't know why, even though it's later in the year, I just like the way that it flows. So starting from the new moon, because that's where everything starts, right? So your new moon this year is on November the 9th at 16 degrees of your sign. Now, what's really interesting as a phenomena is we've got quite a few moons this year, new and full moons, that are relatively unaspected. So there's quite a lot going on. The other thing that's really interesting as well is there's a lot of void of course moons over the course of 2026 as well. So let's get stuck in. Your new moon for the year this year is a very interesting state of affairs because the new moon itself obviously is at 16 degrees of your sign, but like right bang in the middle of the sign as well, being at the tail end of what's known as the via combustor, right? So if you look here, between around, I think it's around 13 to 14 degrees of Libra through to, let's go back, 16 degrees of Scorpio. In astrology, it's known as a portion of the sky or a portion of the chart that is called the via combusta or the burned road. What's really interesting about that is it's said, especially in terms of like things like electional astrology, anything that you put in that space, it kind of doesn't really go anywhere or do anything. What's really interesting as well is yours is the sign of, death and the taboos and all of those kinds of things. But I just find this one really interesting because it does feel like you're going to be doing that phoenix thing that you guys are known for, right? Like phoenix is the original emblem of the sign of Scorpio. So there's definitely a sense of rebirth, especially because this is your annual new moon. So you're restarting something, but this is kind of like a birth cry from the ashes, right? Especially at this tail end of this via combustor that I was talking about. You'll also be housing a Mercury retrograde at the time of this moon as well. And Mercury for you rules your 8th house of transformation, your 11th house of future affairs and endeavors. And since Mercury is retrograde in your sign at the time of this new moon, how you relate to both of these areas of life will definitely be up for review in some way, shape, or form. What you're communicating out to the world and people in general at this time is being very seriously thought about and maybe even changes your path or your trajectory in some way. I really like this because it feels like you're adjusting your plans, but by internally tweaking who and what you are, how you know yourself to be. Now, in a square to Mars, this obviously, let's have a look. Right, in a square to Mars, where are you? You've got I mean, it's a very wide orb, right? But in a square to Mars, in your 10th house, in your career sector, there's a chance that your career might be coming up for review at this time. And, because Mars, your ruler, is in the 10th house, you will be very visible at the time of this new moon. And you're likely focusing on not only how people see you, but how you really choose to present and share yourself with the world, where you desire to go. And since Jupiter is in that 10th house, expanding your presence in your career and also the gains that you get from both. Jupiter is really nicely supported by a retrograde Venus at this time, who is in your 11th house. Your 12th house. Look at this, right? Even though she is retrograde, she's giving Mars a really nice set of supportive energies. This whole energy is also in what we call a mystic rectangle between the 12th and the 10th, the 6th and the 4th. So there's definitely some kind of internal shift that has an external result in some way. It's really strange. Like, that's the only way that I can describe it. It's like the changes that you're making in here are starting to really like ripple out into the world, and you're seeing the results of them. It could also possibly bring or create some kind of monetary blessing, because remember, Venus is in the 12th. She's sextile to that Mars in your sextile to that Jupiter in your 10th house. So some good things happening with this moon. Now, for your full moon this year, as you can see, this one is a little different. We have a really nice trine to I mean, it's a wide orb, but we've got a really nice trine to Jupiter. We've got a nice trine to the North Node as well. And I mean, you can see that your sixth house of Aries at this time is absolutely lit up like a Christmas tree. And Mars, your ruling planet, is in Aries at the time of your full moon. So you are very strong at this time. This full moon is a strong one for you. It is a relatively quiet affair in terms of the aspects that it's making. That wide trine to Jupiter in his exaltation, late to the one in the node in Pisces. It kind of and your ruler, Aries, is sandwiched between Saturn and Mercury, flanked by Neptune and Chiron. There's so much going on for that at this moment in time. Since the Mars energy is residing in that sixth house for you, and remember, Mars is exalted in the sixth house, it does good work there. Something about your health, your body, your physical health and vitality is absolutely being highlighted at this time. There's also potentially support from teachers, mentors, coaches, gurus, and quite possibly lucky breaks when you decide to really put yourself out there in some way. Now, I always say that with a full moon, the astral spotlight is directly on you. This is where the light is shining specifically on you. And as that is the case, this is the time, if you're going to be visible anyway, you may as well get something out of it. I think the key to this full moon is really about self-trust more than anything else, especially when it comes to voicing your needs, actually going after them by implementing things that are naturally and actually supportive to your own daily experience. So it's kind of like, I'll put time, effort, energy, money, resources into this thing, but only if it's going to give me something in return. Since this moon is applying to trine Jupiter, the ruler of your second house of money, finances, and resources, who's currently in that top part of your chart, right, or coming up to the zenith of your chart in your ninth house at the time of this moon, it really feels like there are financial gains here, but they come from farther afield. So this could be, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you're even required to go and collect them in some way. So let's say you've got an investment of land, or somebody's purchasing something from you, or maybe you have investments or connections with people of in foreign lands, distant cultures, etc. These could all be coming up for you at this time. So it will be interesting to see how it unfolds. Now, for your eclipses this year, the eclipses on, ooh, excuse me, ooh, big boy yawn. On April the 17th, we have the opening eclipse of the first eclipse season of the year. April 17th, it's a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius at 28 degrees in your fourth house. The fourth house is home, property, real estate, your familial ties, who you live with, how you live there, the state of the home that you live in. It's also your deep emotional self and your upbringing, right? So all of these things can absolutely be to the fore. As you can probably see, again, it's relatively unaspected. The only thing that we really have going on is that this moon is square to its modern ruler of Uranus, who's back in the sign of Taurus in your seventh house at this point, wrapping up any business that it has in that sign before it moves into Gemini for the next 6+ years. Now, you add to this then that the traditional ruler of the sign of Aquarius was actually Saturn. Well, Saturn is currently in a conjunction to Neptune in your sixth house. This is really powerful, and it's a rare occurrence. It doesn't happen very often. I think we get like 2, maybe 3 of these in a lifetime. So that gives you the idea of like the kind of scope that takes place. The fact that this is happening, so Saturn and Neptune, when they come together, they tend to erode or tear something down in that specific area of our lives. Well, we've got this at 0 degrees of Aries in your sixth house. Something about your work, about your daily habits, your daily routines, whatever you have done up until now, what you are doing from here on in your sixth house will be vastly different to how you've done it before. There may be an element of all of this because you've got this eclipse in the fourth house to do with your living situation. You could be moving, you could be changing location, you could have somebody moving in, potentially a parent, you could have somebody moving out, potentially a partner, because the seventh is indicated. An eclipse in the fourth house can trigger family situations that often come out of nowhere or out of the blue. While this can activate the moving home energies quite powerfully, I have found personally that the third house activates that just as much, sometimes more. So, it will be interesting to see who this really affects in that way. The eclipse is a wide orb to the node, right? So it's a dissociated eclipse because the node is still in Pisces at this time. It's square to that Uranus energy in the seventh. So if you're partnered, your partner's work or something about their life might start to impact your own. It could be that the thing that triggers a move is your partner says, I've just been given this really amazing opportunity. It's a wonderful job. I really want to take it. This is, moment of a lifetime. Are we in? Right? So it could be that. Doesn't have to be, but it is possible. Another way that this could also show up is that something great could really come in for a partner, but it really disrupts the status quo of your daily experience. Now, the other thing is, instead of focusing just on the home, pay attention to the partner and their world, right? So if you're single, this could be that someone's coming in very much by surprise. And because the fourth house is indicated, it may be that they live really close to you. If you've got a roommate situation going on, you might realize that you're absolutely crazy for each other and you can't keep your hands off each other. If you are a business owner, entrepreneur, solopreneur, or even if you're just employed by somebody else, but especially if you're a business owner, it could be that the connections that come in might be disruptive, or maybe a competitor comes up with something that really disrupts what you're doing. Just be careful in that regard, especially if you're planning to forge any partnerships or relationships around business at this time. Wait till you have all of the information before you move ahead. So for the second eclipse of the first eclipse season of the year, we have a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo in your 11th house at 12 degrees. This is a true eclipse because you can see the moon is here at 12, the node is here at 8. That's a 4-degree orb. It's close enough for us to say that this is a true eclipse, right? Now, the ruler of this eclipse, Mercury, is in the sign of Pisces, where it doesn't necessarily do very well. It's also retrograde at this moment in time. So I will say, do watch out for friends, friendships, business endeavors and ideas, and even children if you've got them, because there could be some real misunderstandings with these types of people in your life at this time. Another full moon lunar eclipse, and this time it's in your 11th house, right? So in that 11th house space, it's going to see you change in the direction of your focus for your future, how you relate to the world, your connections, your friendships, and also the communities that you're associated with, how you interact with people on that social level is likely to come up for a shift point here. It could also be because there's such a concentration of energies in your fifth house, people or situations or connections that you have where you go to hobbies or crafts or things like that, etc., could be coming up here. And I will say, because there's this energy. Let's have a look, right? So because you've got this moon in a sextile to Jupiter in your ninth house, there is supportive blessings coming in, potentially from foreign cultures, distant lands, maybe even teachers, coaches, mentors, or gurus, potentially even you as a teacher, maybe something about your what's the word? Maybe something about your outlook is shifting here. Now, you've also got this Mercury retrograde in a trine to this retrograde Jupiter. Mercury is also retrograde at the time as well, so that's something to consider. If there is something that you have spent a lot of money on, do it either pays back in plenty or it opens up a pathway for a new revenue stream from the same thing, but there's some kind of change that's a part of this. It's also possible that there could be could be a welcome closure around some kind of broadcast element. The ruler of the eclipse, that Mercury in your fifth house opposing the moon, a wide orb, right? Really, when we're looking at stuff like this, you want that connection of the moon to be in a nice, harmonious aspect to its ruler. Unfortunately, here it isn't. So it kind of feels like there are potentially lucky breaks around passive income or residual income, but it's like in order to get to that or to set it up, you kind of have to wade through a whole bunch of shit to get it. All right. Your ruler at this time, Mars is newly in Pisces, adding to the buildup of energies in your fifth house and making you really proactive as well. Now, Mars, even though it's in Pisces, Mars actually does pretty well in Pisces because it's Mars rules the triplicity of water signs. So it's actually not, in bad shape here. Also, interestingly enough, Mars in Pisces in the tower is actually the Ten of Cups. So there could be an element of this that it really does pay out or pay back in some way over the next 3 to 6 months, but it's having you really work for it in some way, shape, or form. I would also say maybe a new career path opens, but it's like that career path evolves out of a hobby of some kind. So for the second eclipse season of the year, it starts on August the 12th. This is going to be a new moon solar eclipse. Now you can see that the nodes have shifted, right? We've got the south node in Leo, we've got the north node in Aquarius, fourth house, 10th house axes. Buckle up, my dear Scorpios. And the reason I say that is not to scare you or upset you or anything like that. It's just to say that whenever we have eclipses in the first and the seventh, or the fourth and the 10th house axis, they tend to play out quite viscerally. We tend to experience them quite sort of like on the nose. Now, with that being said, this is at 19 degrees. It says 20. So as you can see here, if you advance it to the correct set of minutes, the moon and the sun actually move to 20 degrees. So it is technically 20 degrees. All right. But it's close enough to, they're at least in the same sign this time round. So it's a partial new moon solar eclipse, but it's there. It's in a trine to a retrograde Saturn. Jupiter is trine to a retrograde Saturn, so they're heading towards each other at this point because Jupiter's still retrograde, because Saturn is still retrograde in your sixth house. So there's definitely a work element to this, right? Now, the new moon solar eclipse is close enough to be considered a true eclipse, even if it is just a partial. Saturn, who is for you in your chart, rules your third house and your fourth house, respectively. There's something about the, even though this is in your career sector, I think this is where some ground is going to really start to be processed in some way, shape, or form of you moving on. So I think this is kind of what's going to trigger some kind of move or change of location. I think this is the one that really solidifies this before you have that, or should I say, after you've had that eclipse activation of the fourth house in Aquarius, right? So since it's trying to your sixth house and activating your third house and technically your fourth house, I think there is an emotional tie to something that really means a lot to you. It's like you're beginning to implement something into your daily life or your experience, and you're starting to communicate what this is going to be. Sorry, dry. So the work that you're doing really matters, and there's meaning here, and there's a flow of action that's making the results seem like they're really going to be worth it, which is great. Again, you're playing the long game here. It's slow and steady, especially because this is in a fixed sign, right? Leo is a fire sign, but it's a fixed sign, so it tends to move slow and steady, right? It's a slow and steady burn rather than like a, all out flame. There is a lot of other energies taking up space and noise at this time. At the time of this eclipse, it's quite busy, right? When you think about Mercury and Neptune, for example, sat across that sixth and 10th house trine energy, it's bringing really great conversation around work, helping you repeal actually whether you like where you put your effort, and overhauling something that creates more time, more space, more freedom. In the longer term, it brings your attention and focus and also your mind to the spiritual essence of what you are doing in unforeseen ways. Even though this is about your 10th house, I actually feel like it's deeper than that. There's just so much more going on, right? Finally, the second eclipse of the year is going to be in the sign of Pisces. This is the last one of the year, so that's cool. Um, Oh, sorry. Bear with me. I'm losing my train of thought. So we've got the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. It's the last one in this sign. It is a dissociated eclipse, but it's close enough to the node to be considered a true eclipse. Now, with that said, the Piscean energy here is potent, right? And this being in your fifth house of joy, creativity, romance, love and creativity, children if you have them, it's nice because it means you can kind of take a breather for this to be the end of what's going to be a monumental year, right? The ruler of your ruler, should I say, Mars at this moment in time is in the sign of Cancer, but it's trine to the eclipse and it's also trine to you. So even though you are somewhat challenged at this time, there is positive energy in this for you. It suggests that while this is a fifth house eclipse, it's going to have a lot to do with your home and family life because the node is in the fourth house. And the way that this likely plays out is with your children, if you've got them, or around maybe even expressing your own inner child. In the opposition to Mercury and the Sun, obviously the Sun, this full moon lunar eclipse is going to require some careful navigation around communications, especially in the online sphere, how you communicate, especially anything that you leave open for interpretation. You want to be really careful about this. Now, Jupiter is in the 10th, and and obviously the ruler of this moon, and the sun is in your 11th house ruling Jupiter. So your story is definitely one of hope for the future. The consideration around your value and your true self-expression is really coming to the forefront at this moment in time. It's revealing your ideas to the right people at the right time. And since Jupiter also rules your money, he's in the 10th house. So this could see you asking how to make more money just from being who you are. Maybe there's an influencer vibe about this, right? Which could be really fun. But there's also a focus on how to amplify your message because that's what feels right to you. The path around your motivations is definitely shifting here in some kind of suggestion or maybe even some kind of accolade that helps you reveal more of who you are as you move ahead. Now, on top of that, in the background of all of this, you've got this T square that's being set up with Uranus, right? Uranus in the 8th house, Sun in the 11th house, Moon in the 5th. So Uranus is the way through. And in the sign of, in the 8th house, which is a house of change, a house of transformation, I actually think that that Uranus transit is going to be really good for you guys because you are 8th house anyway. You're very transformative. You're happy to make change or make waves if you need to. And I think Uranus being a planet of revolution and change and transformation, something being healed in private is made public, and it might feel really raw and potentially really exposing at this time, only to realize that people either love you for it or they really rush to your aid to assist you or to support you in your plights. At any rate, the thing that I will say to you is honesty here is really truly going to be the best policy and also the best currency. All right, so it's like whatever you have going on, by being really honest and open about it and sharing deeply, I think it just absolutely makes people go, oh my gosh, I love this person even more. With that said, let's talk about the 2026 compass. We are heading into a universal year one. 2026 is going to be a game-changing year. It's going to be one of those years that shifts and changes everything. The reason being is it's a one energy, it's revolutionary, it's pioneering, it's different, right? All of the old stuff that you've done before, not going to cut it. So, what is the compass? It's a 12-month tarot reading that we're going to use as the basis for what you're doing. It's a PDF booklet that I have written up myself. There's plenty of space in that booklet for you to write your own notes, for you to take notes. Why? Because as a part of the compass in December of 2025, you're also going to get a 3-hour session where we're going to sit down and we're going to plan your year based on your reading, based on your numbers, based on your chart. We are going to really build a plan for you meticulously, both based on everything that's coming up. Now, as if all of that wasn't enough, the winter solstice is back this year, and as a compass holder, you will get a winter solstice seat complimentary, completely free, right? This whole compass is paid for in 2 installments. So you'll pay your first half on sign up, and then you pay your second half in November. And then by the time we get to December, you're already paid up. No financial stress in January. As if all of that wasn't enough, when you step into 2026, you will have a plethora of tools to help you stay focused on your goal, your mission, and your path for 2026. And remember, whatever we are doing, whatever your personal year is, next year is going to flavor and permeate through the next 9-10 years of our lives. Okay, so with that said, stay tuned. There's a link in the description box below if you want to get yours. Stay tuned while we get into the next part of your reading. Hi Scorpio, welcome to your 2026 tarot 12-month tarot breakdown. Let's get straight into it. So before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise, and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So for your well, remember your first card out, it kind of typifies the year that you're going to have. It doesn't mean that this is the only energy that you're getting, so don't panic if it's not a great one. It just means that this is something extra that you really do need to pay attention over the course of the year. So for this year, your January card is the Death card, right? We're not worried about this. We're not scared of this. Why? Because the Death card is your card. You are Scorpio, and therefore the Death card is your literal major arcana emblem. Now, what I like about this is it means that this year, you are not that you're ever not authentic, Scorpio. Come on, let's call a spade, right? But what I like about this is it means that this year, any and all illusions about who you are, who people think you are, who people project on you that you may be, and we've talked about this before, right? Unfortunately, it seems to be a part of the path for you guys that people tend to project a lot of their shit onto Scorpio, right? What I love about this is there are no illusions this year about who you are, what you want, what you're going after. I also think for you as well that this year, especially with this Death card, you're dropping the facade. I think this is going to be a year where people really get to know you, where people really get to understand who the core person of the Scorpio is that they know. And I think a part of the reason for this is the fact that you've got Jupiter coming into your 10th house this year, which means that you are going to shine that much brighter. You're going to be seen whether you want to or not. So you may as well get ahead of it and control the narrative, right? That being said, January, endings, completions, culminations are showing up for you. You've got this with the Chariot card. So I'm going to say this. If there is some form of travel that you have planned for January, I'm really sorry to say that it's probably not going to go ahead. The Chariot card coupled with the Death card can literally represent a journey that is no longer taken or that is cut short in some way. Now, you've been with me long enough, I will give you all of it, right? I never shy away from the difficult stuff. This combination can represent a car accident, so I want you to be extra careful around such travel matters in the month of January this year. Now, that being said, what I would also say is on January the 26th, Neptune is coming into your fellow Aries ruled sign of Aries, and this for you represents your 6th house, right? So Neptune coming back into that sixth house, there's going to be a lot of focus on health for you for the next 14 years. Now that Neptune's coming back into the sign of Aries, it's going to be there for literally like the next 14, well, I think it's like the next 12 to 14 years. I can't remember exactly. Now, as we come into February, February is a packed month. There's a lot going on here. Let's start with the Mercury retrograde in the sign of Pisces, which for you represents your ninth house. This is going to be a Mercury retrograde in the part of your chart that represents expansion and also your belief system. You may be rethinking your beliefs. You might be rethinking your world perspective or view. If you live abroad, you might be thinking about that. If you want to live abroad, you might be thinking about that. You're rethinking about this. You're going back over it. That's from the 26th of February through to the 20th of March. As if that wasn't enough, we have a new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Aquarius. This for you represents your fourth house of home, property, family, real estate, where you live, how you live there, and also your deep emotional makeup. As if that wasn't enough, we also have Saturn moving back into the sign of Aries, back into that sixth house, where you're going to have to start getting really serious about your health, right? As if all of that wasn't enough, we have the Saturn and Neptune literal, actual, full on conjunction in the sign of Aries in that sixth house. So your health this year is going to have to be a priority, certainly for the next 2 to 3 years. And as a larger cycle, the next 12 to 14, health, health, health is absolutely going to be your wealth. All right. Now, that being said, as you can see, February is a very packed month. There's a lot going on here. For this, you've got the Lovers card. So, love, relationships, partnerships are very much to the forefront. You've got this with the Queen of Cups. So, if you are single and looking and ready to mingle, you could be connecting with a fellow water sign person. My money is on this person being a Cancer because you've got the Chariot card very close by. So if you're single, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that a lot of you end up dating in February. You start connecting with somebody, you start talking to somebody, start interacting with them. For those of you that are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, this could be some of you starting a family. You could be making that active choice to say, yes, I actually would like us to take this step. Now, if that's not you, another way that this could also show up is you and your partner are choosing to nurture or nourish a dream or a goal or a shared collective vision in some way. For those of you that are not interested in love, this could literally be that you are choosing to work with, align, or take care of a Cancerian woman, or maybe even your own mother. There might be a lot of focus on or around that. If your mother's no longer with you, this could be a focus on women, or even, in general, actually. Now, as we come into March, we've got the second eclipse of the first eclipse season of the year, which is a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo, which for you represents your 11th house. This is a pretty big deal because it's the last one in this cycle, and it's really tight sextile to Jupiter, who at this moment in time will be in your sorry, Pisces represents your fifth house, not your ninth house. I made a mistake there. So this Mercury retrograde in February will actually be in your fifth house of joy, pleasure, romance, creativity. It kind of makes sense, right? With all the messages that came up around the cards and love and relationship and all the rest of it. So I'm intrigued by this now. When I'm talking about this full moon lunar eclipse, it is a true completion eclipse. It's a full moon, time of endings, completions, culminations. It's on the south node, completion, culmination, releasing, removing, draining element. So this is a true something's coming to a close here, and that's in your 11th house. This is your future goals, aspirations, visions, and dreams, where you might want to take something or not, as the case might be. The 11th house is friendships, social circles, networks, groups, who you are tied to in that manner. Who you're associated with as well. You've got the Hermit card, which makes total sense, right? Because it's a Virgo eclipse, and the Hermit card is Virgo. But this is because it's the Hermit, you might be pulling away from groups. You might be separating from groups, group associations, clubs, anything that sort of has a bit of a herd mind or mentality about it. You might be stepping away from now. And really drawing your own counsel in some regard. You've got this with the Sun card, so some kind of personal illumination is happening in March. This could be a really powerful and really beautiful download of some sort that just absolutely blows your mind. This could be where you are privy to some kind of really deep insight or really deep information. My feeling about this is it's like whatever pieces have been sort of set outside of you, it's like information that you've gathered. There'll be some kind of personal piece or download or psychic vision or intuition that comes in that will help you put all the pieces together. And it's like you realize something really big, and like when you see this or when you feel it, you might have a moment where you're like, whoa, that's huge and it's profound. And I'm going to say this because this reminds me of something that happened to me in 2016. I remember at that time I pulled the Hermit card. I think it was the Sun, but there was something else there as well. I pulled three cards for myself, and I'd just had this. When I say like a massive, really big spiritual insight, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait to share this with everybody!" And da da da. And I remember hearing this like universal booming voice say, "No, what was given to you has been given to you because you've earned it." Meaning, I'd already done a certain amount of spiritual work to be able to be privy to hold that knowledge. Not everybody has it. And there's a reason that the mystery schools, all schools of, spiritual or occult sciences, etc., there's a reason that you have to go through your initiations. It's not just about gatekeeping, it's about you being prepared for the knowledge or the gnosis that you are going to receive. Not everybody can hold that vibration. I once had a lady tell me, I said to her, maybe you could try Kundalini yoga. She was like, oh, well, I did that once and mine just completely opened. And I was like, okay, yeah, something that takes literally years to do, you did in one session. Come on, and there's not, I'm sure there are probably people out there that maybe that's happened to, but I was very skeptical of this. Anyway, I digress and I get off topic. Whatever insight or intuition or knowledge you come by in March, it really is for your eyes and ears only, unless you know somebody who has done the same level of work as you. And even then, I would check in with your connection to the cosmos about whether you should share these insights or not, because they will be very, very profound. And the truth is, as well, sometimes the spiritual knowledge or gnosis that we come into, to share that with people, they're like, okay, this one's gone slightly off the deep end. Like there's a reason I don't share all of my spiritual beliefs or the things that I've learned over the years, because I'm aware of the work that I've done. And this isn't to say like, ooh, look at me, I've done so much inner work. It's just to say you get what you get because you're ready for it. All right. And I think March is going to be a really powerful moment for that. So those are your moons. As we come into April, you have Uranus moving back into the sign of Gemini. This is going into your eighth house. The eighth house is naturally a space that you understand. The eighth house is also, yes, it's other people's money and resources and finances and stuff, but it's also the gnarly stuff. It's death and sex, the taboo, deep intimacy, role play, all of the sassy, sexy stuff that we don't talk about because it's not appropriate. The eighth house is also a spiritual house, an occult house, spiritual knowledge, right? Deep spiritual knowledge, but it's also crises, trauma, and transformation. Uranus is the unpredictable. It forces transformation, it forces change. And so coming into this eighth house, I actually think you guys are probably going to fare better than anybody else through this Uranus transit. It's just a feeling at this moment in time, but I do, because of what the eighth house is and your understanding of that energy, I think you're going to navigate this a lot better than most. For April, you have the Full card: new things, new places, new people, new energies. This makes a lot of sense to me. After a moment like this, and I will say this as well, actually, my life profoundly changed in 2026. After that, with the amount of downloads and knowledge and insight and the things that came in, I broke away from a lot of friends and a lot of old ties, because I couldn't go back to it. Once you've seen certain things or had certain experiences, and you guys are known for not liking the superficial anyway, right? So, it'll be interesting to see the comments on this one. You've got this with the Six of Wands. All right, so we love that. Look at this. That is absolutely beautiful. If you can consider March a time where there's going to be like a break in the case, this is where things really start to move forward for you. They really start to unfold in a very beautiful and enhanced way. Whatever travel you don't do in January, you're very likely to be doing in April. This is going to be a wonderful month for you of change, of new things, of adaptation, of success, of moments of recognition as well. I love it. I think with April as well, this could be where you are launching into a completely new arena in some regard. That doesn't have to just mean work or the profession. It could be across the board. Now, as we come into May, on May the 1st, you've got the annual Scorpio full moon. So this is you. There's a spotlight on you at this time. For this, you've got the High Priestess. So typical Scorpio trying to hide, but with the full moon on you, that's the astral spotlight. You are going to be more visible at this time. And your intuitive or psychic powers at this time will absolutely be heightened as well. You've got this with the King of Swords. So this, I actually think a lot of Scorpios are going to start to work on writing a book this year. And my money would be on March to May being the time where that sort of unfolds. Um, it's really interesting. The other thing is, because the King of Swords is usually an air sign male: Aquarius, Gemini, Libra. You could be connecting with somebody who is very psychic, very intuitive, very good at what they do, somebody who would be considered a master at what they do. Your personal expertise is something that you are collating, pulling together, and working on or with in the month of May. And it's like, and that's why I think it's a book, because it's like I can see you, like in my mind's eye, I see you reaching for this and reaching for this. You've had this massive insight and download, and it's like now, I don't know if you've ever seen the film Limitless. He jumps off of the cliff, and then he's like, suddenly, like, I knew what I had to do, right? This could be one of those moments for you, right? And so when you get to May, it's like you might be starting to pull all of your information and your insights together to turn it into like a whole or a complete kind of body of work in some way that really, I'm going to say this as well, I think it might be slightly ahead of its time. So, don't panic if the response isn't as great as you'd like, or if it takes you longer to put together than maybe you had expected. As we come into June, on June the 19th, we've got Chiron moving into the sign of, oh my gosh, come on, brain. We've got Chiron moving into the sign of Taurus, so into your seventh house of partnerships, relationships, contracts, commitments, significant connections, personal, professional, or platonic. This is going to bring some instability on the wider world stage in terms of the environment and potentially our food. It's also going to bring instability around our finances or the world's money in some way. Now, what's interesting about this is you are a financial sign. Scorpio and Taurus are the money signs. Um, Gemini could be called a money sign, um, as well, to be fair. Um, but yours are the ones, right? And so the fact that you've got Chiron moving into the seventh, financial partnerships may be a little bit rocky at this time, so keep that as a consideration in your back pocket. On the 29th of June, Mercury's going to go retrograde in the sign of Cancer all the way through till July 23rd. It's a long one, this one. And that for you is happening in your ninth house. This is where you will be rethinking your religious alignments, your spiritual insights and downloads, all of that kind of stuff. The ninth house is publishing books, etc. The yeah, the ninth house is books, all of those kinds of things. The ninth house is also broadcasting, your YouTube channels and all of that kind of stuff. Your ninth house is also your spiritual beliefs and how you connect to or interact with the cosmos. So it's a pretty big moment. As if all of that wasn't enough, um, we're at this point, we're midway through the year. Now, for this, you've got the star card. There's something that you are ready to share with the world. I think in the month of June, even with the retrograde, I also think this is a moment where you're kind of like, now is the time. It's like you're trusting that universal push that you're being given. The person that you're working with is potentially an Aquarius. That's me, darling. You've got this with the Seven of Pentacles. This is something that you've worked on for a long time, or will work on for a long time. It's something that you're patiently, diligently, really working on to craft. Where it is that you're looking to cash out or cash in on something, June could be a month for that, but I am going to say, with all of the financial instability that's going on around this time because of that Chiron in Taurus, I would be mindful about the time that you're going to do this. So either get the transaction done before Chiron moves into Taurus, or wait until it's moved into Taurus and settled. Again, because of the Mercury retrograde, you don't really want to be signing any contracts and things at this time anyway. And as I say, when it comes to money, finances, and resources, especially where partnerships are concerned, you just want to be a little bit extra careful. As we come into July, on July the 18th, we've got the nodal shift moving into the signs of Aquarius, the North Node, and the South Node will be going into Leo. This for you is across that 4th, 10th house axis. 4th and 10th house eclipses are angular, and therefore they affect us that much more deeply. Now, on July the 1st or June the 30th, give or take, depending on where you are in the world, um, Jupiter is going to come into that 10th house for you, right? It's going to come into your public domain, right? This is going to help you shine. This is your career, your legacy in the world, what you leave behind. Your 10th house is also like, when you see me doing this, when you see me putting videos out on YouTube, when you see me putting stuff out on social media, doing Radiant Reality, that's me doing my 10th house. It's my public persona. It's how people know me. It's what they know me for. Jupiter coming into this space could absolutely amplify your reach. It could see you expanding your profile in some way. It could see you becoming an authority in some way. So, have at it. And it's a 1 year transit. So for this, you've got the Temperance card. This suggests that even with all of the growth and the expansion, your health is something that you still want to pay attention to, especially because, remember, January and February, we've got all of that stuff going on in the 6th house. You've got this with the Page of Cups. So, not only are you writing a book, but you are creating something of substance. I think this is a month where you're really doing some deep soul searching around what knowledge you have. I think this is a month where you're going to be really delving into your power to manifest or create. I kind of feel like, and I don't say this lightly or to be disrespectful, Scorpio, but because you guys are usually very go getting. But my feeling is, up until now, I kind of feel like you've just been kind of coasting to see where it's all going. Whereas July, I think this is going to be a month where you really start to take it all in your own hands and say, right, what am I going to do with this now? I think this is probably going to be one of the most personally directed action months, if that makes sense. When it comes to August, this is the second eclipse season of the year, inside 1 month, not split across two. You've got the new moon solar eclipse on the 12th in the sign of Leo in that 10th house of career. You've got and then on the 28th of the month, we've got the full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces. It's the last one in Pisces. and then we're done with that fifth and 11th house axis for you. And this is where truly now, at this point, the fourth, 10th stuff really will start to kick in. Obviously, there's going to be an overlap. This is the last eclipse in your fifth house, which is going to bring, if you want to check out what that's going to bring, check out your lunation section. So for this, you've got the Justice card. So contracts and commitments, again, on the table, things that you're looking at or into. You've got this with the Four of Swords. So the message here is, when it comes to contracts that are on the table in August, wait. This is not a time to sign anything. Even though there's no Mercury retrograde here, the message behind this is to wait. There might even be delays on a contract of some sort, and if there are, my advice would be, don't force it. There's a reason that this is being held up, and you really want to allow it to unfold in the way that it's meant to. Another thing that I'll say to you as well, contract in the eclipse portal, so between the 12th and the 28th, you probably don't want to be signing anything at that time anyway. Even though Jupiter is protecting the sun, and so therefore your 10th house, August is not a time to be signing contracts. All right, I want you to be really clear about that. Now, well, I do want to take a moment to tell you about the 2026 compass. You've seen the emblem. It is the phoenix, right? And that's because 2026 is a universal 1 year. I knew that this year I would have to do everything differently, that we would all collectively in some way have to do things differently. So I created the compass because I wanted to serve as many people as I possibly could this year, which is one of the reasons that these are going out on YouTube. Everything in me, or the downloads and the messages that I got, was literally about serving more people across the board in many ways. One of those was that I came up with and co-created the compass. Now, what is it? Imagine getting a 12-month tarot reading like this, but specifically for you and your energy. On top of that, you're going to get a PDF printable calendar with insights on your astrology, your chart. I'm going to get all into that stuff for you. Your numerology. There's so much space in that booklet. Why? Because in December, you're also going to have a 3-hour one-to-one session with me, where any questions that you have about your booklet, about your astrology, about your numerology, any questions that you have about your tarot reading, we're going to combine all of that and we're going to turn it into a strategy. You and I are going to co-create the year ahead that you're going to have. As if all of that wasn't enough, you get a complimentary free seat on the winter solstice session this year in 2025. And there is a payment plan. So you pay your first half on sign up, your second half in November, and then you're already done before you get to your 3-hour session. You're all paid up, right? And then come January, you walk into the year with a compass. You know exactly where you're going. You're going to sidestep your challenges, enhance your blessings. There are only 30 spaces. Imagine how much work has gone into these. Now think about how much work is going to go into each one of those compass holders. That's the reason I can only serve 30 people in this way. So if you want to get yours, there's a link in the description box below. I don't know how many are left at this point, so check it out. There's a counter on there that will show you how many are left. So really and truthfully, you want to get yours as soon as possible, right? There's a link in the description box below. If that's not for you, or you think, you know what, I'd love it, but it's kind of a little bit out of my reach at the moment, no problem, I've got you covered. I have a whole bunch of other goodies, including astrology sessions, tarot sessions, numerology sessions. You can get those in the link in the description box below. So for September, and thank you, because, from time to time I have to sell you things as well. So in September, you have the Magician card, right? So you are coming into your personal power in a very big way. You've got this with the Knight of Swords. I have to say, September kind of feels like you're a little bit on the warpath, Scorpio. It's almost like you're having this moment where you realize that there's something that you're so passionate about that you're ready to share it, and you're ready to share it now. Your words absolutely have weight in September. So whatever you're saying, whatever you're putting out into the world, it's likely to reach a lot of ears and to be, I think it'll be well received. The fact that you've got the Knight of Swords, though, does suggest that there is a bit of a battle or an argument or a challenge of some sort that's unfolding. So you do need to be aware of that because it's likely to be coming up. What I will also say is the Knight of Swords can be about the commute. So you could be working with, checking in with, or working alongside somebody that we would consider a powerful person or a mover and a shaker, or a big fish client, as I like to call them. And what this means is, in some regard, this is you working with somebody who, quite frankly, is either really going to push you or test you, or maybe tends to upset the apple cart because of a lot of the things that they say. How you are tied to this person, what that says about you, this is something that you will need to decide. The fact that you've had this 11th house eclipse, your group associations, what they say about you, etc., you're going to be really clear on at this point. Now, if you have any form of marketing campaign, September is going to be a great month for you. All right. It's like whatever you put out, it goes far, it goes wide, it reaches a lot of people, and potentially it disrupts whatever you're doing. So, whatever your industry is or whatever you're known for, I wouldn't be surprised as well to find out that a lot of you are, giving a talk or a speech of some sort in September. As we come into October, happy damn birthday to you. If you are an October born Scorpio, happy damn birthday to you. Remember to fill the day of your birthday with a little bit of everything you want this whole entire year to have in it for you. We've got the third and final Mercury retrograde of the year. This one is happening in your sign. It starts October 24th, goes all the way through till November the 13th or 14th, I believe. Now, as if that wasn't enough, Venus is going to go retrograde in your sign as well on the 3rd of October and goes all the way back into the sign of Libra. And her retrograde ends on November the 14th. So I think they end like the same day, Mercury and Venus, which is really interesting, right? Now, for October, you have the Emperor card. This is you re-establishing yourself. Mercury, I love a Mercury in Scorpio. It's very strong, it's very powerful, it's very direct, but it's also very good at uncovering secrets. The fact that you've got the Emperor, whatever you're setting into motion in September, October will see you kind of with that I said what the fuck I said energy. And I'm totally here for it, okay? Like, listen, I know me some Scorpios. I know me some Scorpio risings. I know somebody who's a triple Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So listen, I know about y'all, okay? What I will say to you is this. That Emperor card, it sees you holding firm on something, and not just as an authority, but it sees you holding firm on something that you understand to be a fundamentally important milestone, capstone, line in the sand. It's like you're holding the line on something and refusing to be budged. I'm here for it. Now you've got this with the Eight of Swords. I mean, to say that you really are holding on to it, there's something that you have in your pincers in October, Scorpio, and I do not see you letting it go. I am going to say this for a very select few of you. Um, if you are, no judgment, but I am going to say this, if you're the sort of person that dances on the line of what's legal or not, as the case might be, October is a month you want to be really, really careful, because that combination can literally represent prison. Um, Prison, imprisonment, entrapment as well. You want to watch out for this, especially here, right? September through and into October. Another way that this could show up is if you have someone in your midst that dances on the line of what's legal and what's not. October, tell them to be careful because you might not be surprised to find out that such and such has been caught and they go to prison. Just calling it as I see it, right? Now, as we come into November, on November the 9th, we have your annual new moon. So remember to set your intentions around all the things that you want to manifest. You've got this judgment card, right? So big changes unfolding here, probably as a result of whatever's going on. in October, whatever line you're holding, and this is where you kind of like, right, okay, it's time to put up or shut up, put your money where your mouth is. Now, to clarify on this, you've got the Four of Pentacles. For a lot of you, November might be a month where there's something that you've held onto for a long time. This could be something that you heard, something that you saw, something that you've stored, something that you have. It's like something from your deep past that you have held onto for a very long time now comes into the light of day. You see this, you see it out in the world, it's presented, it's shared, hopefully by you. But whatever it is, yeah, this could be a really powerful moment of revelation. I feel like a lot of you will be doing this. It's kind of like I don't know if anyone remembers. So here in the UK, years ago, this was, and I'm talking years, this little old lady, she had, and this is where like one of these urban legends comes from. She called the ambulance because she had a problem or an issue and she was really unwell. And the ambulance people went in, and the mattress was all like wonky and weird and stuff. And when they pulled it over, she'd literally stashed all of her cash underneath the mattress. Like, they say, like, you put it under your mattress. She actually had, and it was just full of cash. In the end, they had to get someone to go in. They took all the money, they took it to a bank, opened her a bank account and all the rest of it, and they gave it to her. I think it was some crazy number, like £196,000. It was like some insane number. Um, but this, I feel like, is something along those lines. Maybe not necessarily financial, although it could be for some of you, but it's like something that you have built on, steadily kept, or whatever. Could be, there was another one as well. There was an old guy in the UK where he'd kept a gold bar in his loft for like, and they were like, "Where did you get this?" And he was like, "Oh, I bought it in such and such a." Do you know what I mean? Like, it could be something along those lines. I would say as well, if you've got any family heirlooms or whatever, November would be a good month to look at, or look at them, or to go through all of your hand me downs and stuff, because you might find something that's an antique. Maybe not necessarily to sell, but like a realization nonetheless. The other way that this could also show up is some literal secret that you've held on to for years could now come to light. So for December, you've got the Tower card. So December's going to be a bit disruptive. There's no getting around that. You've got this with the Eight of Pentacles. This is going to be disruptive with and in your work. When it comes to your work, your profession, your job, your career, December is likely to be a very disruptive month. Maybe as a result of whatever you're sharing with the world, that's possible. It looks like a really interesting month for you guys, a year for you guys. So your challenge months, I'm gonna say, um, let's have a look. January, because I know a lot of Scorpios actually really love to travel. So January could be difficult for that reason. I would say May is potentially a challenge month, but also I kind of think May is actually, it's like a mixed bag. I would say probably July and August are challenge months. December is absolutely a challenge month. October, I think, is a challenge month. Now, your power months, however, I love March for you. April, easily your best month of the year. I really love June for you. I think June's going to be great. May, I actually think, is going to be a mixed bag. I think it's going to be a bit of both. September, I really like for you. And I actually really like November, even with the stuff that it's got going on. So your Human Design Oracle deck message this year is the Gate 42 and closing. And the message behind this card is literally an old cycle comes to a close, an old way of doing things. You're moving forward, you're stepping over a threshold. For some of you, you could be releasing or letting go of something that has been a part of your life for a very long time, or maybe something that has been synonymous with who you are. but you're stepping away from it because you're stepping into or towards something completely brand new. So all in all, a very interesting year. I love that you guys watch these every month, every 3 months, every 6 months. I love seeing the comments from everybody. It's so nice to see that my work is supporting you guys, even at times where I'm not even aware that it's happening. So thank you for the tags. Thank you for the comments. I really appreciate that. Check back on it as much as you can. And with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic year. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up, and I wish you all of the best. Take care, and I'll see you soon.